Speaker, I will be voting against the withdrawal agreement tonight because it's not what people were promised. It will lead to a worse deal than we have now, and far from sorting Brexit, the uncertainty facing our country will go on for years to come. Now, I know that many people, including those who aspire to be the next Prime Minister of this country, want to sweep the promises they made during the referendum under the carpet, say they are somehow not relevant, or hope that people will forget. But members on this side of the House, remember that our constituents were promised when we leave we'll hold all the cards, that in agreeing our entire future relationship with the EU would be the easiest in human history, and that we would have the exact same benefits as now. Mr. Speaker, nothing could be further from the truth. But I am acutely aware that despite this, many people say to me, we just want Brexit to be sorted, we want it to be over. They're fed up with all the incomprehensible twists and turns, all the arguments and anger, and they want us to get on with it. They want us to deal with the issues that matter in their daily lives. But we have to speak the truth, that this withdrawal agreement and political declaration, which cannot be separated, solve none of the fundamental questions we face about the future relationship with the EU and the huge consequences this will have for jobs, businesses and public services. And, Mr. Speaker, if we don't get those choices right, it will mean dealing with issues like housing. The future of our public services will be even harder, if not impossible, to achieve. And the grim truth is that if this withdrawal agreement gets through today, we will be taking a huge leap into the unknown. Worse still, none of the fundamental questions and choices will be made by members on this side of the House. They will be made by the winner of the next Tory leadership election. And, Mr. Speaker, I have looked on in what I can only describe as growing disgust as certain members of the Tory party, who for months have opposed the withdrawal agreement, now flipping to support it, not out of any principle, but purely for their own personal political gain. Mr. Speaker, no. Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow the future of this country to be held to ransom by the never-ending internal Tory psychodrama and people who want to put their own jobs and ambitions before the jobs and ambitions of people in this country. Mr. Speaker, in my closing comments, I want to touch on something that may not be the main focus of today's debate. But just as with the financial crash, I fear that Brexit and the subsequent political crisis we've had will have long-term consequences for both main political parties, for faith in our parliamentary democracy and the political process, for our sense of nationhood and national identity, and for Britain's standing in the eyes of other countries throughout the world. But we will not deal with any of these problems and challenges by voting for the withdrawal agreement and just hoping they'll go away, or by putting the future of this country into the hands of a hardline Tory Brexiteer who will never be satisfied until their ideological purity has been achieved at the expense of everyone in this country except themselves. We will only deal with these issues and challenges by facing them head-on. We need, Mr. Speaker, a longer extension so we can build a lasting consensus about the best way forward, not just within this House, but crucially with the British people. And I hope all honourable members on this side of the House, for this reason, will join me by voting against the withdrawal agreement tonight.
Sir Christopher Cho.